Alright, welcome on in YouTube, it's your boy Doc, and rest in peace XDefiant, you'll be missed dearly. XDefiant is officially shutting down June 3rd on Tuesday, so if you guys want to play it one last time before it goes away forever, definitely do so. And this is not the only video you'll find on YouTube of why XDefiant got canceled and its wrongdoings, but I did want to bring up some points that weren't really touched on in other videos. However, I do highly suggest watching Xenodroid's video where they go over the real reason why XDefiant failed, in which Ubisoft just needed it as a tax write-off and some to appease their investors because the game wasn't doing too hot overall. But I digress. So I'll start from the beginning where XDefiant was nicknamed the COD Killer during the alpha test. And everyone saw it on YouTube where people's thumbnails and titles just said, the new COD Killer. That's where I found it. So it wasn't the best strategy because there are a lot of COD fans that would just boycott the game because they know nothing can kill COD besides itself. And I was one of those people, but then I checked it out and I kind of liked it, especially when I got to play the beta. So it would have been perfect if these games could just coexist and have both communities kind of play both games for different reasons. But now XDefiant is shutting down and COD has one less competitor, so has one less reason to improve. So XDefiant was marketed as this competitive yet casual shooter with great elements to highlight both communities. And where COD was failing at in the casual fan base, especially for older fans, they were just put into SBMM lobbies and just weren't having fun because every match was a CDL pro match basically. So this was going to be a good change up without SBMM. And it also would appease the competitive community because they advertised the game by inviting ex-COD pros and other first-person shooter pros out to play private matches before launch, where they uploaded it on YouTube videos and just used that as the marketing and hype for the game. So, and yep, I did say private matches, but we'll get to that later. So, let's go over the poor launch window that XDefiant had because it had the ability to become huge if they released it at the right time. It was originally supposed to launch in summer of 2023 after they had a beta, which would have been perfect because in spring they had the beta, which they found some inconsistencies that forced them to delay the game about a year. But during that summer, if it were to release in 2023, everyone was complaining about COD Modern Warfare 2 2022's poor movement, maps, and gameplay. This is when XDefiant could have captured so many of those COD players' attention. This would have also had Season 2 come out right before COD Modern Warfare 3, and Season 3 would have been towards Christmas so that all the players that bought COD and went through that honeymoon phase, they would come back to XDefiant. And the plan was great, but it all was delayed by about a year. So by this time, Modern Warfare 3 came out, and it had everything that XDefiant was supposed to be. It had great movement on top of great maps that people love because they were playing on nostalgia. This definitely killed the hype for XDefiant, but it still had its tight-knit community backing it. So let's jump to 6 weeks after launch of XDefiant, where after they had a successful Season 0 and leading into Season 1. So that released on July 2nd and included the GSK faction, or known as the GSG-9 if you've played Rainbow Six Siege, a reimagination of Clubhouse from Siege, and the ranked game mode. So Season 1 was also released with some of the worst bugs that made many players leave and never come back. Almost all of my friends were included into that group. So when a player died while using an ability, that ability couldn't be used until they changed faction. And that's not the worst of it. Randomly, it would also have a 1 in 2 chance pretty much that the player's grenade or faction ability would just not work. And this would cause a fucking noise and restrict the ability and grenade from working. So half of your kit would just not work, which is detrimental in a faction shooter. So it released right before the 4th of July weekend, from Thursday to Sunday, so the devs couldn't fix it in that time. They didn't fix it the next week either. It took over a month to fix these game-breaking issues. So yeah, my friends were just in this rut of just not wanting to play, and me included, because everyone was just stuck with half of their kit not working, and the devs didn't even acknowledge it until a month after, and they sent out a fix, but it would only make things worse and only fix one out of the 3 issues that it had. And these were big issues. So and spider bots, this is another big thing, is that one of the worst additions that they had to XDefiant was a spider bot ability, which was basically the Prophet drone from Black Ops 4 on crack. And with that update to fix the grenade issues, they also changed how the spider bot would work. So, but they were trying to nerf it so that there would be more counters to it. This did not do that. It basically allowed the spider bot to go under the ground and just jump on people, and you couldn't shoot it off your own face like you could at launch, which just made everything so much worse. So then this is where I stopped playing. It was just almost unplayable. Another big issue I had with Season 1 was ranked. I mean, it did work as a good rank system. You would actually verse people of your rank, which was similar to your skill level, which was good, but ranked issues really just made it terrible to play, because ranked launch without the ability to restrict teams to one use of a character per team. So every single person would just be playing Phantom, which had an extra 20 health and a shield that you could shoot through every 30 seconds. There was no reason to pick anyone else, because the 20 health that you had just gives such a huge advantage in every single fight you get into. So it was just 8 Phantoms running around on the map, and it was just not fun at all. And also, Aches, the multiplayer head of XDefiant, then blamed the community for ranked being bad because the community wanted it so bad. He said that they had to rush to release it, and that was just such a kick in the face, to us players. We want something that should be a staple of all multiplayer games. And it was just, Aches was like, yeah, this is your guys' fault. So that was not enjoyable in the least. So let's move on to one of the most controversial things that just killed the rest of the people surviving and enjoying XDefiant, which was about a month after Season 1. It's the movement nerf. It was probably the single worst change that XDefiant made during its lifespan, because they nerfed the air strafing by 30%, which actually just destroyed the game. The game was less skill expressive, and the people that played the game for the fun movement mechanics just left to go play other games, because that have movement. Modern Warfare 3 in the finals was out. Casual players enjoyed this change somewhat, but they would just leave the game anyways because they're a casual player and they don't really care about the game. They would play it for a little bit, but they're still going to get shit on by people that are better than them, and they'll leave the game to go play easier games. So this change just made the game feel clunkier than ever, and people were not happy, including myself. The movement is what made me keep coming back. I would just keep slide jumping around the map. Felt so fluid to get where I was. I was able to win a lot more fights, and just did not appease anyone by doing this change. Well, let's go back to private matches. So, yep, the feature that's been a part of almost every single game you've ever played since you were little. Yeah, it wasn't in XDefiant until 4 months after launch, and even then it wasn't great. So, tournaments in this game were actually taking place during the first 6 weeks of the preseason. And because there was this ranked practice mode where both teams would jump into a Discord, talk to each other, and Q snipe each other. Say 3, 2, 1, Q, and they would queue up to fight each other, and this was how tournaments took place. This was a bad system, but it worked. And once rank came out, they completely removed the ranked practice mode. So you couldn't Q snipe other teams unless they were within 3 ranks of you, so basically gold versus gold, or gold versus plat. This single-handedly killed the competitive scene. And because you just couldn't do tournaments, you couldn't do scrims, everyone was just forced to play ranked or pubs. And they branded this game on competitive. They invited ex-COD pros out to play this game with private matches. And they were just like, yeah, that's just not a thing that we're gonna do. So many people, including myself, didn't want to do ranked, but then we suggested that ranked practice mode should just stay because you guys already have the game mode. Just keep that game mode there, so then everyone can do the Q sniping and still have tournaments. Because there's a lot of people that just want to do competitive. They don't want to do ranked. They don't want to do pubs. They just want to verse people of high skill. But this was completely ignored. They didn't just keep an extra game mode in the game and left the community high and dry. Alright, I'm gonna try and wrap up this video here. I mean, like, there was a lot of negative in this video, but I hope you guys got something useful out of it, and I hope the game devs can learn from the many mistakes that XDefiant made. I mean, I loved this game ever since I got to play it in 2023, and I wanted just to make a small living off the game. I wanted to have fun. I wanted to make videos, make content, play competitive, but the game didn't want itself to succeed, and neither did Ubisoft. So let me know what you guys thought about XDefiant, the good, the bad, and the ugly, and let me know if I missed anything in the comments. And again, I'll just say it one more time: rest in peace, XDefiant. Alright, peace.